So what we're going to look at, particularly with the part 2, we're going to look at one type of question, which is the describing a place, because that's a very, very common topic in the IELTS. Yeah. And then we're also going to look at ways to plan your talk, because one of the biggest problems that we find as examiners a lot is people speak for maybe 40 seconds or 1 minute and then it stops. And it's quite hard for everybody to speak for that full 2 minutes. So that's what we're going to look at the moment. Okay. I know these are tricky times, guys. Let's focus on what we're doing and what we can do today. Okay. One other thing is, if you have a question which is related to what we're talking about, then you can put it in the chat and I'll try and answer it straight away. If it's a more general question, please put it in the Q&A, because I will go to the Q&A when we finish the presentation and I will take the questions from there. Okay, so if you have a question, you can put it in the Q&A now if you want, and that's where I'll start at the end. Okay, this is the example that we are going to look at the moment. So describing a beautiful place that you once visited. So as I said, it's very common. Yeah, Taj Mahal, I would love to visit the Taj Mahal. Talking about a place is a very common part 2 question. And there's lots of different ways they can ask it, you know, like describe a tourist place in your country, describe a popular place. But, you know, you can use the same answer for those different ones. So it's really good to make sure that you have a place you can talk about and that you have a really good range of vocabulary to talk about that place. Yes, I mean, Switzerland would be a great one to talk about. That's a beautiful place you visited. It's a tourist location. So, you know, have something in mind and have the vocabulary to talk about it. Okay. So before we look at that one specifically, let's have a look at some true false statements about the IELTS speaking and the part 2, because it's quite common. Sometimes there's some misconceptions about what you have to do and what you don't have to do with the IELTS. Okay, so is it about a personal topic? Hi, Sohail, nice to see you. Is the part 2 always personal? Yes, okay, good, that's true. It's always going to be about something that you can talk about. Okay, you have 2 minutes to prepare. False, yes, you have 1 minute to prepare, and we're going to look at how you use that minute most effectively. Okay, whoops. You need to speak for 2 minutes. Okay, yes, okay, that's exactly right. 2 minutes, 1 minute preparation, 2 minutes speaking. Okay, what about the next one? Yeah, that's false. You can, in your 1 minute preparation time, you can make notes and you can look at those notes while you're talking. Okay. Okay, this isn't interesting. You must cover all the points on the question card. We've got a lot of discussion there. Okay, this is false. Okay, yes, exactly. Somebody wrote not necessary. Again, this is one of those misconceptions I think it's very important to correct. The bullet points on the card are there to help you if you want some ideas of what to talk about. But they are, it's not a task. You don't have to follow it and you don't have to talk about those things. And in fact, if you just answer those questions, very likely you're going to run out of things to say after about 30-40 seconds. Okay, so it doesn't really matter about the bullet points. as long as you're answering the question, as long as you're starting with a beautiful place that you visited, you don't need to worry too much about the detail. You can kind of go off and talk about what you want to talk about, okay? The main thing is that you talk for 2 minutes so that the examiner has 2 minutes to listen and assess your language without having to, you know, interact, which makes it more difficult, okay? Yeah, so it's a starting point. It's not, you know, you don't have to do this like a task. We'll look at how you add more as we go through, okay? You need to finish your story before the time is over. So you need to have a kind of like complete answer, as it were, okay? Again, we're getting quite a lot of, yeah, this is also false, okay? You don't have to complete anything. You should continue talking. The examiner will stop you after 2 minutes because you're not allowed to speak for more than 2 minutes, but you should still be speaking at that point, okay? So don't think it's not, again, it's not a task, it's not a presentation where you have to have a start and a finish. It's just 2 minutes talking, okay? So those, I think, are the 2 most important things to remember. Okay, it has to be funny or entertaining. Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. You just have to produce English. That's all that matters. Okay, once the 2 minutes is up, there's a follow-on question. Yes, this is true. So the examiner just asks you a short question at the end of your 2 minutes. And what kind of answer should you give a very long answer for that follow-up question? No, okay, you're right. This is just a kind of completion. You just give a short answer to that bit. That's the only part of the IELTS speaking where, okay, guys, can you like just put 1 T? It's getting very confusing for me to be able to see everybody's answer. Okay, just don't put lots and lots of answers, please. Okay. Yes, you can use idioms all the way through the speaking test. It's very good. Okay. So 2 minutes, that's where you talk for a long time. And then the follow-up question, you just give a very short answer and then they move on. Okay. Okay, part 2 and part 3 are on the same topic. Yes, that's true. Okay, so they will always be related. Part 2 is personal. Part 3 when you are talking about abstract things, ideas. Okay, yes, you could say I was on cloud 9. Okay. Sorry, I missed, somebody just put a good question there, but yes, it was about the pace. Exactly, Adnan. Not too fast, not too slow. Fluency is not about talking very, very quickly, okay? If you speak very quickly, it's going to be hard for the examiner to follow you, even if your English is excellent, okay? So just speak at a steady, even pace. Stress the key words, use intonation, don't rush, okay? That's not going to help you, okay? Okay, so, oh, sorry, missed that one. Yeah, so when you do your planning, you have 1 minute. Yeah, no, I went ahead. You can't, you know, spend a lot of time deciding what you're going to talk about. You really need to have an idea right at the beginning. And then you can spend the minute talking about it. Yes, of course, Harsh, smile, give gestures, you know, try and be as natural as possible. Okay. All right. So yes, choose your topic very quickly. Again, there are some very typical topics that come up in part 2, like places, people. If you can have some ideas of what to talk about before you start, then, you know, that means that you're going to be able to talk about it much more quickly. Okay. Another thing that happens is a lot of people say, well, I don't know what to say about that, you know, or I haven't done this, or I don't like films. You can sort of change the topic a little bit, okay? So you have to be clear that you've answered the question, okay? This is also true in the part 3. But if you can, you know, if you want to sort of move it slightly to something else, that's fine, okay? But just make sure that the examiner knows that you have understood the question and that you have answered the question that they are asking, okay? But, you know, for example, if they just say, describe a place of natural beauty, then, you know, maybe you say, well, you know, I'm going to talk about a beautiful city because that's what I know, okay? So that's, you know, how you can change it in a little bit, okay? All right, and try and think about something that you can give a lot of detail to, okay? Because the only way really to speak for the 2 minutes is to have something to talk in lots and lots of detail about that event, okay? Harsh, the examiner will give the evaluation immediately after you leave the room. Immediately after you leave the room, okay? So yeah, there's no listening back. There's nothing else like that. It's immediate once you've left, okay? Yes, if I don't have an answer. Okay, then, you know, they will always have another option offer. So if, for example, it will be talk about the job you have or the job you would like to have. So you will be able to talk about a job you would like to have rather than if you're still a student, okay? So yeah, again, you know, you're changing it a little bit to suit what you want to talk about, okay? So we're going to look a little bit, sorry, Sky, when you say how long, what do you mean? How long to get the score? Okay, yes, some good things, breathtaking. You get your IELTS score after 13 days, okay? Yes, so some great vocabulary coming up. We've got picturesque, we've got breathtaking, we've got enormous, magnificent, mountainous, superb. Okay, some fantastic words coming up there. Yeah, good, mountainous is great. So these kind of, you know, really mesmerizing, fantastic, yeah. Overwhelming, fantastic, that's really, really good. Breathtaking, stunning. So, you know, have these really good, these really impressive pieces of vocabulary that you can show the examiner. You don't want to say just, you know, nice or beautiful, because that's very normal vocabulary, okay? So what about the next one? We've got a slightly different, yeah, sure. Okay, Gothic, very nice. Picturesque again, yeah, okay. Scenery we tend to use to talk about the landscapes rather than cities. Okay, peaceful, historical monuments, okay, ancient, historic. Gothic is a type of architecture. Okay, it's a type of, okay, so good, it's urban, exquisite, beautiful. Yes, it's an old town, it's magnificent, spectacular, there's lots of sunshine, that's great, okay, yeah. So again, we've got some, I think someone was putting Romanesque there, yeah. Glorious, fabulous, these are all really, really good words, okay. And now we've got a very different cityscape here. So yeah, it's modern. Okay, yeah, it's luxurious. Can we think of any sparkling skyscrapers? Yeah, okay. It's exciting, yes, I think these are quite, yeah, hustle and bustle, good, contemporary, the city that never sleeps, brilliant. Yeah, we've got some great, yeah, shining, the buildings are really shining. Okay, very good. And what about the last one? So again, we've got some scenery, but it's very different from the first picture. Okay, it is heaven, idyllic, that's lovely. Yes, so this is where the first one is mesmerizing and magnificent. This one is peaceful and floral and calm, yeah, and comforting, Yahaya. That's a very nice word to use, yeah. Tranquil, yeah, okay, colorful, really good, okay. So, you know, appealing, very nice, Kelly. Yeah, I think it's very appealing. I think they're all very appealing, actually. Viridescent, really good. Yeah. Okay, romantic. Yes, I think it's definitely romantic, alluring. So, you know, have the very, very specific vocabulary. It's really good. You know, we wouldn't use the same words to describe the first picture and the last picture. And we wouldn't use the same words to describe the two cities. I would just say Gothic, not fantastic Gothic, just Gothic, okay? So, you know, the more precise your vocabulary, the better your score, the more likely you are to get 7 or above for your vocabulary in the speaking, okay? Okay, so as we've already said, quite difficult to talk for 2 minutes on anything, even in your own language, I think, okay? So one thing is, don't just follow the bullet points because you'll finish very quickly. Do give lots and lots of detail because that's the best way to keep speaking. If you finish with one example, remember that you can always move on to a second example. So, you know, don't feel like you can only talk about one. You can talk about something else as well. Okay, so you can have 2 examples. You can have a backup example if you run out of time. Yeah, I mean, if it comes to it, you can talk about 7 different places if you want to, as long as they are answering the question. And yes, Scour, that's a very, very good point. Another way of making your answer last longer is to speak kind of more generally at the beginning. So if they say, for example, you know, describe a beautiful place in your country, you could start by saying, well, you know, there are many beautiful places in my country. It's a very popular tourist destination. We take care of our beautiful places, and then start talking about the specific one. So yes, Scour, very good point. Nice general introduction is a good idea. Okay. So let's have a look at planning. So that 1 minute, you know, you really need to use that wisely and use it efficiently, okay? So what we're going to do now is look at 2 different ways that you can plan your talk, okay? So the first one, okay, is to give as much, as I said, background detail as possible. So you're not just describing the facts, but you're trying to give a lot of information. So if we look at that picture, you know, we can talk about where it was, but maybe what other information could you give related to what we're looking at here? So we're describing Kazakhstan. I think it's actually Alaska, but it looks like Kazakhstan, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, so trekking. So maybe you're talking about the activities you did there. Yeah, maybe you're talking about more general information. The weather, very good point. Yeah, you can talk about the climate or the weather. Okay, something like that. Yeah, okay. What about the next picture? You could mention some history, yes, if you wanted to. Okay, so we've got some kayaks. So what could more? Okay, very good, Hannah. So activities, some general information, some history, any other types of things? Yeah, so some other activities like fishing. Okay. Very good, yeah. Feelings, Guan, I don't know how to pronounce your name. You could talk about how you feel when you're in this place, yeah, okay. What about the next picture? What are we sort of looking at there? Yes, you're right. It's a glacier. Yes, at the end. Very good. You could talk about the memories. You could talk about the people that you went with. Yeah, exactly, Mariko. Your friends. Who did you go with? Why did you go with them? What did they think about it? That kind of thing. Yeah, the relationships. Okay. And what about the, yeah, you could describe the other people. And what about the last one? Okay, yeah, so you could talk about the wildlife, the animals, some kind of specific experience that happened there. Yeah, you could move on to talk about maybe some more general problems like, yeah, extinction, pollution, things like that. Okay, so, you know, the more detail you give, the better, you know, the longer you will be able to speak for. Yeah, you can talk about habitat, things like that. So the first way that you can plan your talk, so you've got as much information as possible, is to do a spider diagram, okay, or a mind map. So you have the topic and then you have all of these topics going off. Yeah, a spider diagram. And then for each of these bubbles, you have a heading, okay? And again, a good quick way to do the headings is to use question words. Yes, exactly, Tan. So, and no matter what the topic is, you'll generally be able to use the same question words. Yeah, exactly. So all those were question words. Yeah, when did you go? Where did you go? Who did you go with? Why did you go there? Yeah. And then we've got some other things like maybe the food you ate there, what the weather was like, as you said. Would you recommend it? That's quite a good one to talk about. You know, how did it go and would you go back and would you recommend it? Okay. So with slight bit of adaptation, you could use this for pretty much all of the topics you're going to get. Okay. So now we're just going to look at the keywords. So remember, don't try and write too much, just some keywords. They should be like triggers, which enable you to talk about a lot of detail. Yeah, okay. Yes, so we're going to match the answers to the questions. So you're right, as some people have already said. So where is A? When is, okay, good. Is the, so we've got the summer. Who? You're going ahead a bit, guys. I can't. Yeah, with two close friends. Four is why, not what you did, but why you went there. Yeah, so four is G. Okay, so the reason why you went there. What? No, so number five is exactly, so the activities that you did there. Weather, okay, good, is B. Food is C. Okay, and then we're left with E for the recommend. Okay, so just a few keywords for each of those headings, but those keywords should be like a trigger, a springboard for you to be able to talk in great detail about these things. Okay. So if the, let's say it was a restaurant that you visited recently, so what question words could you use? You know, what ones would be the same? What ones would be a bit different? So yes, food, service, I think would be very good. Yeah, what type of food? Okay, yeah, who? So again, who, where? Yeah, so generally speaking, most of these were questions you can keep the same. And then maybe you change things. So you talk about the atmosphere, the service, was it good or bad? And again, would you recommend it? Yeah, okay, exactly. So the recommendation. And, you know, this is an example. You may do something. So yeah, Rezvan, maybe you talk about the design of the restaurant, the decor, the best dishes. But these are the kinds of things that will enable you to speak for longer And not only will it enable you to speak for longer, but you will have a clear structure to use, okay? So you use each of those as a separate section when you talk. And you could say, you know, so let's talk about the place. So the place that I went to was a restaurant called. When did I go there? Well, I went there last week. And you can use those to structure the talk that you give, okay? And a good kind of like a little test you can do for yourself is that you can try and talk for 20 seconds on each of those points. So could you talk for 20 seconds about where the restaurant was? Could you talk for 20 seconds about who you went with? So I think that's a really good exercise, because that means you have to talk in detail, and then you can see how you can expand on these areas, and you can add in lots of detail to make sure you speak for the 20 minutes. So try doing that, yeah? Try and speak for 20 minutes, 20 seconds on each of those headings, okay? And with lots of detail. And remember that it's not just fluency, it's also coherence in the speaking. So use linking expressions to make it very clear to the examiner what you are doing at each point. Yes, yes, exactly. Something like however, meanwhile, the reason for this. You can even ask yourself the questions and then answer them. So you could say, would I recommend it? Well, actually, yes, I would recommend it because da, 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 da. And that really breaks it down very, very nicely. Okay. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. Okay, so you have the spider diagram, and then you have the headings as question words, and you put in keywords for the questions. There's another way you can do it, which is it's more like a story. So rather than looking at different aspects, you kind of tell it like it was a narrative, like it was the story of a film. But again, this gives you a structure. And again, you know, it makes it easy for the examiner to follow you. And you can do it with any kind of question. You don't have to make it a very, very exciting question. Okay. So this is one event. We can see here the place, what they did, who went, and what happened. Anybody like to give me a title? Think about it as a, yeah, you're right. So what could be the title of this story that you could put at the top of your piece of paper? Yes, The Time I Lived My Dream, Deepansu, wonderful. An adventure in wildlife, yeah, day one hiking in the mountains, adventure at a glacier, brilliant, yeah. Lost in nature, okay, very good, guys, yeah. Silent Hills, very nice, yeah. On my free day, yeah. So kind of think of a, you know, think of a heading or a title that's going to help you sort of focus your answer. Okay, well, yeah, one day for sitting. Okay, so then when you've got your title, okay, then this is how you structure this type of planning. Okay, so we've got the 5 parts. We're going to put them in order first. So what would be number 1? What would be the introduction? Yeah, okay. Then we would have number 2 would be after that. Just, yeah, so give some background information, okay? If you, for example, you went on a trip somewhere, there must have been a planning period. You must have talked about it with your friends. You must have come to a decision about where to go. So give some background information, okay? Oops, I went on to the next one, but yes. Then you describe the actual trip. So where did you go? What happened? What was the weather like? What was the atmosphere like? And use lots of vocabulary there. Yes, next one is opinion. So did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? And then if we think about future, we're thinking about, would you go back? Okay, or would you suggest that somebody else go there? Okay, so you can think of these in terms of questions. So your choice of topic and why you chose that topic, background information, what actually happened, okay, good or bad experience, and would you recommend it? And then, would you go back, or would you do it again? Would you go back to the restaurant? Okay, so for some types of topics of the part 2, this works very well as a structure. Okay, for others, I think maybe the spider diagram works better. So you maybe, you know, what you choose depends on the topic. Okay, the introduction, Bhavis, is just, you know, well, today I'd like to talk to you about a place that I went that was very beautiful. The reason why I went to that place. So you're just saying where you went and why you chose that one. Okay. So what we're going to do is look at an example answer now. Okay. So, you know, this is, you're answering the question, you're saying where you went. So that's answering the bullet point, but you know, that's what, 3 seconds. So that's not really going to give you very much information. So we have to develop, yeah, probably 1 second. Exactly. Yeah, we have to develop it and we have to give as much detail as possible. So use one of those expressions. Today I'd like to talk about, today I'd like to tell you about, and then give some more information. So what's the missing word there? Almost, which, okay, which was exceptionally beautiful. Yeah, good, yeah. Okay, so a place which was, because it's the subject of the sentence. Okay, yes, guys, say I would love to tell you about an amazing place, a beautiful place, a fantastic place. Okay, then a bit more information. So it's called the Kenai Fords. Okay, again, which is located in the southern part of Alaska. And then you explain why you've chosen this place. So I chose to talk about this place. If you're giving the reason, because, yes. Okay, so much more information there. Okay, we're also looking at complex sentences in each case. Okay, and we're looking at a good variety of structures, language. We've got different tenses, we've got the passive. So all of that just in the introduction. Okay. So let's give this a bit of an example very quickly. If you had to talk about a restaurant that you visited recently, how would you introduce your topic using the same kind of information? Sorry guys, do you mind if I just have a cup of tea? Does anyone want to write in chat what they would say? Today I'd like to talk about, you need to give me a sentence. Give me some sentences. Okay, a local restaurant, maybe it was, yeah. Local restaurant, 5-star restaurant. That would be really good vocabulary as well. Yeah, the Taj. Okay. A memorable restaurant. Okay. A wonderful Asian restaurant that I'd love to tell you about. Brilliant. Okay. Street food. Very nice. Talk about some street food, a little street food place. Okay, very nice, Priya. Place that's close to my heart. Okay, that's really lovely. Okay, which was built in the 1900s. Very good. Okay, very nice, Hamza. Michelin star restaurant. Very nice. Okay, good. Okay, so we've got some really good vocabulary that you're using there. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and then some extra information, which was opened recently, which was built in the 1900s. Yeah, very good, Galaxy. You could be a bit more general first, and then you can, you know, talk about something else. Okay. Made a deep impression. and not rather than gave, made a deep impression. Okay, good, Harsh. You're talking about the location. Really, really good. Okay, a historic place, famous for. Really, really good words. Yeah. Okay. Then we move on to give a bit more background information. So I'm going to give you the word. Let me give you a bit more. Okay, you could say detail, okay, or background or information. That would work as well. Okay. And then so we're doing at the time. Okay, so when we did this trip, because we're going back into the past. And then we need to use past tenses. So mainly you're going to be using past continuous because you're talking about what was happening at that point. Okay. So at that time I was working, good, as a teacher in Rome. Okay, then we changed the tense a little bit. Okay, good. I'd been working there for 5 years. Okay, so we got a nice range of tenses there. Okay, so my friends, Peter and Chris, had, we could say already or just, yeah, actually just is the correct answer, but you could also say already or recently, something like that, where we were working. Good, okay. And then we move to past simple because now we're talking about the specific thing. Okay, very good. Ha ha ha. We decided to go on holiday. Yeah, we wanted to, we planned to. There's different things you can say there. Okay, so you know, this isn't, we haven't even gotten onto the actual trip yet, but we've already talked for probably half a minute. Okay, so giving that kind of background information really extends your answer. Yeah. Okay. Okay, then you talk about what you actually did on the trip. So again, you know, we use these linkers, we use these signposters to make it very clear to the examiner what we're doing. So we're moving now. So anyway, moving now to the real thing. You can use if clauses, Nanush. Yeah, a good range of complex sentences is very important. Yeah. Okay, and now we're going to move to past simple because now we're listing the things that happened. Yeah, conditionals also, all the different types of structure that you can use. Okay, so we can see now we're using past simple. When we got there, we could see, okay, what all the fuss was about. So we, okay, we went, yeah, kayaking, okay, and we saw many different types of activities. Okay, can we keep it in English, guys? Yeah, just to be fair to everybody, please. Yeah, yeah, because you know, I don't know what you're saying and this goes public afterwards, so we need to be very careful. Okay. Yeah, maybe you could say observed, or we saw, we encountered, something like that. Okay, and now we're listing some names of animals, so that's, you know, using some very specific words. Gaze is a really good word. I don't think you'd use it in that sentence, but it's the kind of thing you'd say, we loved to gaze at the animals at the sunset. So because it's quite a poetic word, so I would use it with loved gazing or spent time gazing. Adore is kind of the same thing, so we adored spending time outdoors, that kind of thing. Yeah. We swam with dolphins, that's good. Yeah, so adore is good, gaze is good. But I think it's, you know, we got to see is very nice, very natural English. Okay. And then we have a bit more detail. So just before we left, a bear. You could say like beforehand. Yeah, you could say like, yeah, came into our camp. Yeah, appeared, something like that. We've gone for came, jumped. Yeah. Came fishing, came across our camp. You wouldn't use into, but came across our camp is a good, yeah, no, not a bit scary. Yeah. You could maybe say attacked. Again, you wouldn't use into, but you could, we killed it. Don't think you're supposed to kill the bear. Yeah, rushed, very nice, Manish, rushed into our bag. Not when you're describing it, okay? Abdamajid, if you're describing the events that happened, you would use past simple. Oh, barraged, I like that. Yeah, barraged into our camp. Discovered our camp, again, without into. Dashed, very good, yeah. Okay, we tried to be bears. Okay, and we had to chase him away by throwing stones, okay? In order to make friends, yeah, maybe. Yes, true story, okay? So if you're describing a series of events, then you should do them in the past simple. I have no idea, Stephen, and I don't think I would like to get close enough to know whether it was a he or a she, actually, but maybe there's some way you can tell on the face, but I really don't know enough about bears. Okay. Oh, well, maybe maybe some people here are experts on black bears. You could say we had to, or I had to. I think the person saying that they were the one who threw the stones. Yes, maybe they cooked it and had it for dinner that night. Yeah. Okay. So then we talk about whether it was a good or a bad experience. So again, use an expression. So in my opinion. Okay, so again, here we've got the if clause. Somebody was asking about if clauses. So we have an if clause here. Yeah, perfect destination. Yeah. Yeah, in my view, or for me, or any of those expressions to give an opinion is very good. Okay. Okay, it has, yeah, great. Oh, pristine, very nice, splendid. Yeah, so any of those good pieces of vocabulary. We've gone for unspoilt, which is a nice word to use with nature. Virgin is good as well, very good. Yeah, virgin, like a virgin forest. Unspoiled nature, lots of different activities, okay? And the chance to encounter animals in the wild. Okay, so this is almost like a sort of summary of what it was like. And then, so then we're going to finish off by talking about the future. So how can we kind of, yeah, maybe you say finally, or anyway, Dre, that would work as well. Okay, or yeah, in short, or in a nutshell, or in the end. Yeah, so we went with finally. With what words there? Okay, yeah, with, you could say with reference to, with or with regards to. Okay, or with regard to, both of them work. Yeah. Okay. I'd love to go. I think, yeah, I'd like to, or I'd love to is quite nice because it's a bit stronger. I feel like I only, what do we think? Okay, maybe enjoyed. Okay, explored is very nice. Remember, this is going to be in the past simple. Covered works very, very well. Yeah, we went for experience, but those are all very good. Experience, discovered, covered. Yeah. Okay. So that's just a nice way of finishing it off. Okay. So a good thing to do, okay, is to, you know, there's lots and lots of part twos out there. So, you know, find a part two, plan it, record yourself speaking, and then go back and listen to it and see how it went, okay? And detail, detail, detail. The more detail you put in, the more likely you are to speak for that 2 minutes. If you do run out of some things to say on one example, just move on to a different example. Just start talking about a second beautiful place that you've been. That's totally fine. Okay. So that's the end of the presentation. Okay, thank you very much, Sky. So we're going to take some questions now. Before we do that, I just need to give you a bit more information. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. So if you go onto the IELTS Online website, first of all, you can find out what webinars are coming up. Okay, so you can see what other ones you would like to join. They also have videos which explain aspects of the listening and the reading, just very short little videos. So you can check those out. This webinar and all the previous webinars are on YouTube and Facebook. Okay, so you can just go to the Facebook page or YouTube for IELTS Online, and you'll be able to see all of the past webinars. Okay, I will be back here next Thursday, always on a Thursday. Okay, and if you would like to find out, you know, what kind of level you're at the moment, and what you could do to improve, then we do have a service where you can have a mock test with a teacher or with an examiner, and you will get feedback. You can also do that with a writing, exactly, Ali, an evaluation service. If you don't want to do that, there is another service where you record yourself speaking, and then, for example, myself, I will listen to it and give you some specific feedback. Okay, so you can do it as a mock test, but you can also just record your answers, and myself and some other examiners will give you some feedback. Okay, happy birthday, Harsh. Happy birthday to you. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these questions. Okay. Okay, Jorge, part one is always personal questions. Okay, so things like family, where you work, where you live, that kind of thing. Okay. Okay, the speaking, so Sarada's asking about general training and academic. They're exactly the same, Sarada, for the speaking. Okay. There's no difference. It's like the listening, the speaking, and the listening are exactly the same, whether you do the general training or the academic. Okay. Anonymous this is a good question. Is saying words like "you know" or "as you may imagine" considered bad? Not bad at all, Anonymous. In fact, that's a very natural way to speak. One of the things that they're looking for is, you know, that you're using the linking phrases, but the natural linking phrases for speaking. So some things like kind of moreover or furthermore, they're not really very natural to say, but something like that, it's like "as you can imagine" or "well" or "you know" or "kind of." These are all totally fine when you're speaking, okay? But only for the speaking, all right? Okay, Jackson's asking about a webinar on listening. They are working on a webinar on listening, which should be coming up soon. Okay, Siba says, if I speak more than 2 minutes, will I lose marks? No, you won't lose any marks. The examiner will stop you at 2 minutes. And so you can't speak longer than 2 minutes, basically. You don't have any option. That's really nice, Harsh. It's really sweet. Everybody asked you, yeah. Okay, Anna Chiara, can you advise some vocab for describing a place in the part 2? Really, I think, you know, the best thing to do is to look at some of the example answers on IELTS Online, okay? And also just get yourself a bank of vocabulary. Again, spider diagrams are very useful. and just put, you know, beautiful place, and then have lots of different vocabulary that you would like to use. Okay, so having vocabulary banks is the most important thing. Okay. So I think I stopped over there. Then I was going to say what I had to put in. That was great. Yes, so this is similar to a question in chat that Abdel Majid asks. If you do stop before the 2 minutes is up, the examiner will do this. Okay, so they will basically be saying, I want you to say more. Okay, so you will have to speak for the 2 minutes, whether you want to or not. So, you know, just if the examiner does that, it means you haven't spoken enough. Okay. Okay, please guys, please keep it in English. Okay, please, I'm asking that you do. Okay. Okay, Eleanor is saying, in the case I've prepared something about a place not in my country and the examiner asked me about a place in my country, what should I do? Okay, well, first thing, Eleanor, is I wouldn't prepare too specifically. The thing is to prepare with a good range of vocabulary. So basically that you could use the same kind of vocabulary to talk about the place that's not in your country. Okay. You could also, I mean, to be honest, the examiner is not necessarily going to know about these places. So, you know, you can just change it a little bit and the examiner won't know. But if you've got that good vocabulary, then you're going to be able to talk about it. Okay. Okay, Abdel Majid is saying, should I speak formally or friendly? You shouldn't be using formal English, Abdel Majid. You should be using informal language. That's part of the test, that you don't sound too formal. So it does matter. So yeah, being friendly and being informal is very important. Okay. Okay, Yahya is asking, what questions are more likely to come in this part? It's hard to cover all of them, Yahya, because, you know, there are many different topics, but places are very common. People, it's a very common. Objects, very common. Occasions are very common, yeah. Or talking about like a time when, you know, you had to apologize or somebody criticized you or something like that. Okay. TT is saying, does it have to be a true story? No, you can make one up. The only thing is it's probably easier to talk about details when you're talking about a true story, because you have all of the information. It can be a bit hard to keep going when you have, you know, when you have to think about what you're saying. Okay. Okay, Nunush is saying, how can I increase the range of vocabulary for speaking and writing? Okay, good question, Nunush. Lots of reading and listening, basically. You should be, you know, exposing yourself to as much English as possible, read articles, watch documentaries. So those are the resources. Then when you've got the resources, then you need to record the vocabulary. So you should have vocabulary banks. And like I said before, try and, you know, do it like a spider diagram so it's easier to remember. When you've recorded the vocabulary, then you need to use it so you make it more active, okay? Which means you have to try and use it, you try and speak, you try and write with it, and then it becomes active vocabulary, okay? Mo's saying, can we use that structure for all of the topics? Yes, I think you can use that. I think the narrative works better for some topics, which would be like events in the past. and the headings would maybe be better for other topics like talking about an object. But again, it's a good idea to practice with different things, different ideas, and see what works best for you. Is it okay because I stopped because of out of time, Hannah? With the part 2, Hannah, try to keep going until the examiner stops you, okay? They will always stop you after the 2 minutes, okay? Anonymous, I think you're saying, where can we judge our level? Well, Anonymous, the evaluation service will tell you exactly what level you're at with your speaking and your writing. You can also do practice listening and reading tests on IELTS online tests on the website, and that will tell you what your level is with the reading and the listening, okay? Okay, guys, we're out of time there. I'm really, really sorry. Again, remember that if you have questions, you can put them up on Facebook, and there are people there that will help you and answer your questions, okay? We never have time to answer everybody's questions. Oh, Cancun, wonderful. But, you know, we'll keep going. Come back next week and, you know, get your question up nice and early in the Q&A, and then it'll get answered, okay? So guys, have a good day, have a good week, take care, stay safe. Thank you, Sarada. You know, just the best of everything for you in difficult times. Yes, may the force be with you too, Stephen. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Okay, take care. Bye-bye. Stay safe. Look after yourselves. Okay, yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, guys, bye-bye. Bye-bye.